My husband was sending $3,000 every month to sponsor orphans in the Philippines. Turns out, he was sponsoring his second wife and 3 kids I never knew existed. Let me take you back to how this all started. David was the kind of man every woman dreams of marrying. Successful software engineer, drove a modest Honda despite making 6 figures, never forgot our anniversary. But what made me fall head over heels wasn't his career or looks, it was his heart. I want to sponsor an orphanage, he told me 3 years into our marriage, showing me photos of smiling children on his laptop. These kids in the Philippines have nothing, Sarah. We're so blessed. We should give back. I melted. Here was my husband, wanting to change the world one child at a time. Every month, like clockwork, $3,000 left our joint account. For the kids, David would say, kissing my forehead as he transferred the money. He'd show me letters from the orphanage director, photos of new school supplies, updates on the children's progress. I bragged about him to my friends. My husband sponsors 30 kids overseas, I'd beam. He's basically their hero. For 2 years, I watched our savings shrink and felt proud. We were making a difference. Sure, it meant we couldn't afford that dream vacation or the bigger house, but those children needed us more. The small signs started creeping in around month 18. David became secretive about his phone. He'd take calls in the garage, speaking in hushed tones. When I walked in, he'd quickly switch to English. Yes, the donation will arrive on schedule. Who was that? I'd ask. Sister Maria from the orphanage. She doesn't speak much English. But David didn't speak Tagalog. I'd asked him years ago if he wanted to learn, to better communicate with his kids. He'd laughed it off, they have translators. Then there were the late-night video calls. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. to find David hunched over his laptop in the kitchen, whispering into the screen. The timestamp showed Manila time, early evening there. Just checking on the kids before their dinner, he'd explain, quickly closing the laptop. Something felt off, but I pushed down my suspicions. He was helping children. I was being paranoid and selfish. The breaking point came last Tuesday. David left for work but forgot his personal laptop, the one he used for orphanage communications. It sat there on the kitchen counter, taunting me. For 3 hours, I stared at it while drinking coffee. Just one peek. Just to see the children were helping. I opened it. The password was my birthday, sweet, right? His desktop wallpaper was a family photo. But not our family photo. David stood there smiling, his arms around a beautiful Filipino woman and 3 children who had his exact eyes. My hand shook as I clicked through the folders. Family photos 2019 to 2024. Hundreds of pictures. David pushing a little boy on a swing. David holding a baby girl. David kissing the woman, his wife, according to the photo captions, at what looked like a wedding ceremony. The orphanage letters were actually love letters. From Maria, not Sister Maria, just Maria. His wife. My darling David, one read, Sophia took her first steps today. She kept looking around for her papa. Miguel asked again when you're coming home for Christmas. I told him Papa is working hard in America for our family. Our family. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. $3,000 a month wasn't feeding orphans. It was supporting his second family. His real family? The room spun. 5 years of marriage. 5 years of I love yous and anniversary dinners and talking about starting our own family someday. All while he had 3 kids calling him Papa on the other side of the world. I kept digging. Bank transfers to Maria Delacroix. Plane tickets to Manila, while he'd told me he was traveling for work conferences. Hotel bookings for 2 adults and 3 children at family resorts. The final knife to my heart was a video dated just 2 weeks ago. David reading bedtime stories to his kids via video call, speaking broken Tagalog he'd obviously been learning in secret. Papa loves you, he said to the camera. Papa will be home soon. But I was his home. wasn't I? I saved everything to a flash drive and sat in stunned silence until David walked through our front door at 6 p.m., whistling like he always did. "Hey beautiful," he said, kissing my cheek. "How was your day?" I stared at him. This man I'd shared a bed with for 5 years. This stranger. "How are the orphans doing?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. "Oh, wonderful. Sister Maria says they got new textbooks with last month's donation. Really making a difference." He smiled that warm smile I'd fallen in love with. He didn't even flinch. 5 years of lies, and he didn't even flinch. But I wasn't done uncovering his web of deception. The next morning, after David left for work, I called his office. "David Rodriguez," the receptionist said. "He hasn't worked here in 8 months. He was laid off last September." The room tilted. If David wasn't working, where was he going every day? How was he affording to support 2 families? I hired a private investigator with money from my secret emergency fund, the one David didn't know about. Thank God I'd kept some independence. 3 days later, the investigator called with news that shattered what was left of my world. David wasn't just supporting his Filipino family. He was running a romance scam operation, targeting lonely widows online. He'd been using our address to register fake charity websites, collecting donations from kind-hearted people who thought they were helping children. My husband wasn't just a cheater and a liar. He was a criminal. The investigator had photos of David at internet cafes, managing dozens of fake profiles. Screenshots of conversations with elderly women across America, all believing they were in love with different versions of my husband. "Mrs. Rodriguez," the investigator said gently, "you need to contact the FBI. This is wire fraud. And you could be seen as an accomplice if you don't report it." Accomplice. To the man I'd loved and trusted completely. That night, I made my decision. I packed David's belongings, all of them, and put them in the garage. I changed the locks. I printed every piece of evidence and organized it in neat folders. When David came home to locked doors and my lawyer's business card taped to the window, he called my phone 47 times. I answered on the 48th call. "Sarah, what the hell?" "Let me explain." "Explain what, David? The wife and 3 kids in the Philippines? The fake job? The fraud operation? Which part needs explaining?" Silence. "I know about Maria. I know about Sofia, Miguel, and baby Carlos. I know you've been stealing from grieving widows. I know everything." More silence. Then, "Sarah, please. It's complicated. I love you both." "Both?" I laughed, but it came out broken. "You don't get to love us both. You don't get to have 2 families while destroying innocent people's lives." I hung up and immediately called the FBI. 3 weeks later, David was arrested at the internet cafe where he'd been running his operations. The local news covered it. Local man arrested for romance scam, defrauds elderly women of $400,000. But the story that didn't make the news was about Maria and the children. Turned out, she had no idea about me either. David had told her he was divorced, working in America to support their family until he could bring them over on visas. I called her after the arrest. Through broken English and Google Translate, we pieced together David's double life. She was as devastated as I was. She'd been faithful to him for 6 years, raising their children alone, believing their papa was sacrificing everything for their future. We cried together over video call, 2 women who'd loved the same man, both betrayed, both victims. The FBI recovered most of the stolen money. David pled guilty to wire fraud and bigamy. He got 8 years in federal prison. Maria and I stayed in touch. I helped her apply for victim services, and she sent me pictures of the kids, my husband's children who would grow up knowing their father chose crime over family. 6 months later, I was cleaning out the last of David's belongings when I found a